Hi, Tiger Craven-Neeely, gay retired teacher. Excuse me for a second. I'll just bring you in a little closer. 15 years in the closet and then 15 years out of the closet. And so it's now my civic duty, especially in the political climate that we're in. It's 2025. LGBT people and trans are being targeted unfairly. Our rights. I try not to be too political, but if you look into Project 225, just Google it, Wikipedia, it'll say part of the plan is to remove rights to LGBT people. Also, I heard Donald Trump on, and again, I try not to be political, but I heard him on in an interview the other day, and he said, I don't really care about trans issues. They're not important to me. It's just they incite my voters. They get my voters excited, so I like to bring them up, which is very unfair. Very unfair. He's using trans people to get more votes. That's what it sounds like. So anyway, my goal is to read some LGBT books, share some personal experiences. But it was, for example, what was it like being gay and openly gay man in a classroom, and to talk about laws, things like that. So anyway, I'm going to read two short books. One is Pink is for Boys, and it talks about gender stereotyping, not explicitly, but that's the theme. The author is Robb Pearlman, the illustrator is Eda Kaban. Pink is for boys and girls, and bows and fancy clothes, and of course boys and girls both can wear bows, both can wear fancy clothes. Blue is for girls and boys and uniforms on a team, and girls can play baseball and football and basketball, and boys can be cheerleaders. I added some of those phrases, by the way. Yellow is for boys and girls and a crown to wear. Green is for girls and boys and grass to run on. Red is for boys and girls and cars racing along a track. Orange is for girls and boys and popsicles dribbling down sticky chins. Purple is for boys and girls. And unicorns because unicorns. Brown is for girls and boys and teddy bears to cuddle. Black and white are for boys and girls and puppies and kittens to pet. Boys and girls can both like kittens. Boys and girls can both like stuffed animals. And for all the colors, and all the colors are for everyone. Girls and boys and flowers and butterflies and rainbows in the sky. Wonderful story. And that just brings up a lot of issues. So, gender stereotyping, Assembly Bill 329, the California Healthy Youth Act, which is you're required to teach in junior high and high school once a year. And if you teach, you don't have to teach sex ed in California in grades 4, 5, and 6, but if you do, you're supposed to follow those guidelines, and they're good guidelines, like teach the negative aspects of gender stereotyping. So like in here, regardless of Assembly Bill 329, I think they're good policies here. How to be cool in 3rd grade. The protagonist, Robbie, comes across a pretty pony ruler and panics. Boys, he says, boys aren't supposed to have pretty pony rulers. That's a good opportunity to have a discussion the history, social studies framework, chapter 20, equity and access, might be access equity, talks about guidelines for teaching all of our California students. And it says have discussions, teach students how to treat diverse others. A lot of diverse others don't follow what people expect as gender stereotypes. And when they don't, they often get teased, and that's the time to have a discussion with your students. So I talk to my students, what if a boy liked a pretty pink pony roller? Is that okay? Bring it back to respect. Well, if some students would say yes, some students would say no, boys aren't supposed to do this or that. Well, regardless of your opinion, we respect everyone. I saw my nephew. He's in his 30s now, married to a very nice man who's in the clergy. When he was in around second or third grade, I have 3 children. I went to their school. They went to the same school. And I saw my nephew and sister-in-law, and there was my nephew practicing the baton. That is not, gender stereotypes. Most boys don't practice baton. They were some great role models as parents. They were supporting him in what he wanted to do. He might have been teased. That's the time to have a classroom discussion. You don't know. By the way, being a boy doing the baton doesn't mean you're gay. But it's not gender conforming. Any other stories that go with that? Let me think for a second. I have my notes. Blubber. I used to read Blubber by Judy Blume to my 6th graders. And in it, Jill, the protagonist, goes to her dad. She's always going to her dad for math problems. And her mom, who does real estate, does math all the time, says, why are you going to your dad all the time? I do real estate. I'm good at math. That was a gender stereotype. Jill thought, oh, boys are supposed to be good at math. Something you could discuss in your class. TMI, I dated a gentleman. He had a daughter in high school. She was good at math. She loved science. I said, what are you doing after high school? She said, I'm going to study engineering. I think robotics engineering. Great. We need more women in math. It's a good job. Just looking at my sloppy notes. All good stuff. All right, I'm going to move on to my next book. Pink is for boys. Pride 1, 2, 3. Michael Joosten is the author. Wednesday Holmes is the illustrator. Good job on your books. Always a wonderful book. Number 1 parade in the month of June. 2, DJ spin fabulous tunes. Sorry. There's a glare. 3 families of all different types. 4 activists fighting the good fight. Way to go. 5 motorcycles revved by the crowd. Vroom, vroom. 6 floats carrying people who are proud. 7 divas strike a fierce pose. That's fierce. 8 great signs all in a row. If you haven't figured it out, these are things you see at a Pride event. Here are some of the signs. Be kind. You are magical. I love LGBT plus. Be nice. I love my 2 daddies. LGBT stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. And the plus would be like non-binary, not identifying with either male or female. Asexual. Some people choose not to be sexual or they don't have sexual desires. 9 united people standing side by side. 10 waving flags fly brightly with pride. By the way, that comment about sexual, I'm modeling for the adults. I would not include that when I was reading to students. Anyway, Pride 1, 2, 3. Some things I can say about this great book. 5 motorcycles rev by the crowd. Now, my experience with the San Francisco parade is there's a group of lesbian women who ride their motorcycles in a separate parade, often on like a Friday night when the parade is on Sunday. And they call it the Dykes on Bikes. This is the word and the verbiage they use. One time I was talking to my niece who's lesbian, and she said, "Hey, this is a different generation." She said, "We don't say that word. That is a put down. That's an insult. We don't use that word." I'm like, I don't mean to offend anyone, but that is the word that they were using to identify themselves. So I don't know. Sometimes it can get confusing. 6 floats carrying people who are proud. I want to comment. When I was in high school, on one of our public broadcasting stations, they would lease out time to different organizations. There was a conservative group who leased out time. They would show video footage of the San Francisco Gay Parade, and they would hone in on scantily dressed men in their Speedos and say, this is an example of perversion of homosexuality. Well, that's a double standard. And I just want to make the point, and I'm not putting these things down, but in the heterosexual society, you have things like, if you go to Las Vegas, there's strip shows called Thunder Down Under, or Chippendales. There's nothing wrong with them, but that's heterosexual, doing the same things. You have men going to sporting events, gawking over young women in bikinis. How is that any different than these men in the gay parades? Right? Shades of gray. Yet hundreds of thousands of probably mostly heterosexual women going to theaters to see Shades of Grey. Seinfeld. I'm not knocking the show, but come on, it was a show about 4 heterosexual people trying to get it on all the time. I don't fault it, but it's a double standard to point a finger at LGBT people saying we're disgusting because there are subgroups, and me one of them, who like to go to parades and like to gawk. I mean, it's human nature, right? Animals get turned on by what they smell. I saw a sexologist who's lecturing at the University of Kansas City, Missouri. And he was talking about how dogs are attracted by what they smell. Humans are attracted by what they see. Get off our backs. Really, come on. We're just being human. Let's be human. Anyway, gosh. 7 divas strike a pose. I want to just talk about the overreaction of people toward drags reading in libraries. I'm not an opponent or a proponent. I don't really feel strong either way. I think children will survive if drag queens aren't in there reading in the library. I think they'll be fine if they are. I'll probably have gay people faulting me for that position, but my point I want to make is drag history is strong in the heterosexual world. Shakespeare and theater, there's a history of drag. Milton Berle. Who else? Medea, Tyler Perry, Medea. I had notes. I think I lost my notes. But Dame Edna something, Ettridge from England, straight drag. Tony Curtis, Jack Lemmon, and Some Like It Hot. I already said Milton Berle, right? Flip Wilson, Geraldine. was drag. There was when I was a kid, urban legend had it that Flip Wilson as Geraldine. Geraldine officiated the wedding of Rock Hudson and Jim Nabors. Of course, that's totally false, but that was the urban legend. Anyway, so get off our backs. Anyway, as you can see, I'm not really that organized, am I? I was going to say it's my summer break, but I'm retired. Anyway, love and respect. Let's love ourselves. Let's remember, homosexuality is not chosen. It's a natural variation, like left-handedness. And I share so many things in different videos, I forget what I already share. Did I already share left-handedness? I spoke to this lady, she was from China. I said, in China, do they fault people for using their left hand? I heard they did. She said, yeah, when I was growing up, they would slap your hand if you were left-handed with a ruler, boop, boop, boop. Somehow, being different, the 10% of being left-handed morphed into being immoral in that society or shameful for some reason. And that's what happens with homosexuality. There's nothing perverted about homosexuality. The only insane thing and perverted thing about homosexuality is society's insane inability to accept human nature. It's a natural variation. It's a physiological response. By the way, if I'm sitting on a bench, and here's another illustration, Jennifer Lopez walked by, I would notice her dress. Oh, it's a nice dress for the season. I wonder why she chose to wear a sundress over, her beads. Those are nice beads. I wonder where she got the beads. A haircut, I think that it's not flattering on her. And if Ricky Martin, sitting on the bench, walked by while I'm on the bench, I probably wouldn't notice his hair or his clothes. I'd be like, whoa, wow. It's a physiological response. It's not a choice. Homosexuality, it's a physiological response. It's a natural variation, and it's something we discover. We don't choose. You discover it. Some people discover when they're 5. A lot of my gay friends, so they knew they were gay from very early on because of the crushes they had on their classmates or images they saw on TV of actors, and it was like they felt that hormonal urge in junior high or high school. Some people really don't figure it out till later. Anyway, I rambled, I shared, I read. Thank you for tolerating this. My hopes is that someone will, maybe an educator, maybe an administrator, during the summer break will have nothing else better to do, right? And we'll watch these and learn something. We'll have an epiphany, an aha moment. Wow, I didn't think of it that way. He has some good points. Anyway, God bless you. If you're gay, do whatever you want. But my point of view is come out of the closet. Be a good role model for your students. There's nothing to be ashamed. And model that. Thank you.